everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, there are just a few things that I would like to go over with everyone. If everyone could please remain muted until the end, and then I will answer questions from the group. If you think there are questions as we're going through, please feel free to put them in the comments, and that's fine too. Julie will help me monitor those, and we can answer those throughout if we are able to, but if not, we'll go back and definitely make sure to answer those questions at the end of the presentation. Today's session is being recorded. If so, for some reason you have to leave early, not to worry. We usually like to add captions, and then after that's been completed, we will add it to our CViConnect YouTube channel, as well as our CViConnect Facebook page. So you can look for it in both of those places. If you haven't already, go ahead and go to Facebook and like our page so you get those updates as they become available. Just to let you know a little bit about us, I am Stephanie Stuffer, and I am the Business Director at CViConnect. And also with me today, I have Julie Cushman, and she is one of our support staff at CViConnect. So today we are here to help answer your questions and help walk you through how to create a new activity using the CViConnect PRO platform. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. All right, so you can see here, this is my CViConnect dashboard. I am currently logged in as one of my demo accounts. And so this is kind of what you should see when you use your username and password as a professional. You log into your CViConnect account. This is what you should see. So the first thing you're going to want to do to create an activity is in the upper right-hand corner, there is a plus icon, and you're going to touch that, and a box will appear, and you're going to want to give it a name. And so you can name it whatever you want for today's purposes, but you're going to want to obviously make it relevant. As a team, you might need to coordinate how you want to label and identify your different activities so you guys are all on the same page as everyone begins creating their own activities, and is kind of has some that are in a work in progress and some that are ready to go, and kind of have to collaborate together to make that work as whatever works best for your district, your team. So today I'm just going to name mine A test because we're just doing a test activity. But the next thing that I have to do is select the library that I want it to go to. Okay. And so that actually is going to be something that happens automatically for you here in the next rollout that you guys get from when we get an update from Apple. But for right now, you need to make sure that you select your department or your district's library from that menu. Okay. When you're done with the activity, you'll be able to come back in here and indicate your objective for the activity, the instructions that you want the student to have, criteria for success, all of this information. You can come back through after you're done, and you can kind of evaluate your activity and see how you would like to assign that information. But for now, we just need a title. Whoops, I pressed close instead. Here we go. You need to press save in the bottom right-hand corner, and then we can move on. So I'm going to press save. And once I've done that, then I can go ahead and close out of this box. And now I'm going to, in my search box here, I'm just going to look for my test activity. I need to make sure that I'm in the right library. Since I saved it in my test library, I need to look for it in my test library. And you can use that by using your drop-down menu here in the in library drop-down. So this is my test activity that I've want to work on today. And to begin editing that activity, I am going to use this little paintbrush in the bottom left-hand corner. So when I touch that, it's going to load and let me know that this is a new activity. And say, okay. And in order to edit it and get it going, I need to use this edit feature in the upper left-hand corner. So I'm going to touch edit. And when I do, a plain black background appears, and that's all you get. It's an empty activity, okay? So the first thing I'm going to want to do is edit my background if I want it to be anything but black. If I want it to be black, then I don't have to edit it. But let me just show you how you do that in the event that maybe you want a yellow background or a red background, or you want purple, or whatever the case may be, or maybe you want a picture for your background. Anytime you want to edit something, you need to select it on the screen by touching it. And so when you do that, you'll know you've selected it because that yellow box will appear letting you know that that is the item you're getting ready to edit. Then in the upper right-hand corner, there's like a hammer and a wrench there. You're going to use that little tool set, and that's going to pop up your edit box. Okay, so now I can hit select color, and I can choose any color I want. There's some different options in the bottom to expand your colors and your schema there that you want, that you can choose exactly what you want. I tend to like a lot of my activities set as black because it makes the focus item that I want really pop. So I'm going to leave mine as is, but if I wanted to change a color, I could, tap on the different colors and then click done. So choose your activity color that you'd like. And then again, select done to say I'm done changing that color. Let's get into the exciting stuff and start adding some pictures. So now we're going to hit that plus icon. And then today we're going to use, anytime you want to add something to an activity, you're going to use that plus icon, right? Right now, we're just going to add a square because we're just going to add an image. Odds are you didn't want it to just be a plain green square on your image because you're trying to customize and make things unique for your student. And we were just talking about making sure it's meaningful and it's something that's really important to the student. And there's probably only a select few students that would be really excited to look at a green square. So let's customize that for us by, again, selecting it by touching it. So see, if I was touching the background, I have a yellow box around the black background. And then if I touch my green square, I now have that yellow box around my green square. I'm again going to use my tool kit. And here I can change the color if I want to, and just change it to a different colored square. Or I can go to picture, and then here I can use, it says select from iPhotos. So I'm going to choose that. I'm going to go into this library here, and I'm going to choose a snowflake today. So I've got a little snowflake that I can add to the picture. Here you can kind of edit it and move it around. And maybe if your picture is really small and you wanted to make it larger, you can use that pinch and zoom feature with your fingers to kind of move it around and make it the way you want. So I'm going to hit use once you're done. Okay, and then I'm going to just tap done. So this is something I happen to already have had in my photos and just want to use that for today. So we're going to say in this example that my student's really excited about winter, and we're going to talk about snowflakes. And so I want to make it exciting for my student. And so here we have a snowflake on my iPad screen. And again, after it's on there, to edit the image and make it bigger and smaller, I'm just going to touch it, and then I can pinch, make it smaller, and widen my fingers to make it larger, however I want it to be on the screen. Okay. And we're just going to leave that there for now. So let's say we wanted to just see what this looks like. What does my activity look like right now? I'm going to hit done in the upper left-hand corner, and it's going to give me a few options. Save changes is going to do just that. It's just going to save the changes, but it's going to leave you in the activity you're currently editing. Save changes and exit is going to save your work, but it's going to go back to that main list that you were looking at before, where you have all the activities that you have access to. Discard changes and exit, it's going to say, I don't want to change, I don't want it to keep anything I did. I just want to get out of here, go back to that main list. And then do nothing is literally going to do that. It's not going to save, it's not going to exit, it's just going to close this box and keep you where you're at. So right now I want to hit save changes because I want to stay in this activity. I'm not done with it yet. I just want to view it. So now it's in this window of you're still in this activity. What do you want to do? So in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to press the triangle or the play button. And so this is what my activity would look like when it's running. So if I was to have it in front of a student, this is what I would have. Pretty simple, not a whole lot to it. So I want it to make it move. I want to make the snowflake do something. So we're going to go back into the editing designer and kind of make some more out of this activity. Okay. So I'm going to hit the pause button, and I don't need it to save any data or anything like that. This is your typical activity pause, just like when you're running an activity with a student. Pause would just tell you that I'm like not done with it. Continue would go back to the activity. Complete would save data from your students' interaction with it. And then quit would just close the entire thing, go back to that main list, and none of the data would save. Okay, so I'm going to hit pause because I want to edit. So now again, I'm going to go back to edit. It's in that upper left-hand corner. It says activities and then edit. I'm going to touch edit. So now I'm back in that editing designer. So you can see that yellow box has come back when I touch on the snowflake. And now I want it to do something. Remember this time maybe the student touches the snowflake, something happens. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to, I've got my yellow square, so I know I'm editing the snowflake and not the background, nothing else that might be on your activity. I'm going to use my tools again. And now on the bottom, in this blue box in the bottom, it says properties, events, and done. I want to use the word events. I'm going to touch that button. And this is saying when these things happen, I want it to do something. So when the snowflake is touched, I want it to do something. So I'm going to hit touched. Okay. So now if any of you guys have kids or students who are super into, is it Minecraft, I think, where they have to like build the blocks and they have to like put those Lego pieces together. That's kind of what this looks like. And so what you're at the bottom of your screen, you have different categories of things that you can do. I'm going to go to motion today because I want to make it move. We know kids with CVI, they like those things that are moving. It really gets their attention on the screen. And I'm going to scroll through and they have a bunch of different options. And I want my item to move into a circular motion. Okay. So one thing that I forgot to do, and I always do this, even when I'm creating activities over and over, so I apologize. We're going to go ahead and hit done for a second. We need to go back to our snowflake. And one thing that we forgot to do is to give it a name. And the reason that this is so important is for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier as you're designing things and you have a bunch of different items on there. It's going to give it a generic name with the item. So in this case, it was a square to start, or if you used a label or a circle, it would say label or circle with the date and the time that you added it. That's not going to be really helpful for a lot of reasons. Let's say you're using it with your student and then they touch it and it goes up to the data and you're looking at it, you're going to go, oh, they looked at square 12/9/2020. Not helpful. I want to know, what did they actually touch on the screen, right? So that's probably the biggest reason, but it's also going to be easier for you when you're designing the activities to actually give it a name. So we're going to call this Snowflake. Whatever your picture is of. If it's Elmo, you can type Elmo there, or if you've got their favorite sippy cup, you could just type in sippy cup. Whatever the name of your image is, you can go ahead and save that there. Now to the right of that, you'll see this button that says copy. You have to hit copy. You can't retype the name of the item in. And that's just computer coding reasons. Don't really understand all of that because I'm a TVI by nature. And so I'm in the same boat as you guys where I have that teacher brain working for me. But I'm told that that's what the coding means. So we're going to go back to touched. And this very first one, it'll say square. And for some reason, it's showing up on the Zoom really dark, the font is, but you're going to replace that with the name of your activity. So I'm going to paste in, because I hit that copy button, I'm going to paste in the name of my activity. So now when the snowflake is touched, the snowflake should move in a circular motion. The reason you have to put the name of the item in there is maybe you're going to touch the snowflake, but Elmo is going to move into a circular motion. Whatever the case may be, it gives you lots of options. So you need to decide, tell the computer here, what do you want to move on the screen? Well, I want that item to move. So I'm going to type in snowflake there, or paste in the word snowflake, okay? And it gives you some different options as to how you want it to rotate. And, it says repeats. Yes. So if you only wanted it to go in a circular motion once and then stop, you can hit no. You could type in no here. So you have some different options as to how you want it to move. I'm going to leave all of that as is and just press done. But again, now I want to see what I've done because I'm not really sure what that means. And so I want to, I want to take a look at my activity and view it again. So this happens a lot. This is kind of how it's like your preview. You're kind of checking out what you're doing with your activity. So I'm going to press done, save changes, press play. And now the activity is playing, but remember I said I want it to do it when it was touched. So I'm going to touch my snowflake. And when I do, it's going to move into a circular motion, just like I told it to. So that's all fine, but maybe I need more than that. Maybe now you're thinking, well, that's cool, but I need a label to go with it too. I need to have it that print label so that my student has that exposure to literacy. Huge proponent of that. Let's do it. Now we're going to add something new. So to add something new, we're going to do the plus. If you look down here, there's the word label. A little box will pop up. It says your text here. You move it where you want on the screen. I'm going to move my label down further on my iPad to really separate out the image from the text so it's not too much in one space for them visually. Now that I have that yellow box around there, I know that I'm editing that item, so I can go use my toolbox. And I'm going to type in the word snowflake. Now, again, I need to label what I've just done so that I know what it is when they touch it. So instead of having the words label with the date and time, I instead want to say it's the label of the snowflake. So this way I know if they touched the actual snowflake itself or they touched the text snowflake. So you could even change that to say text snowflake if you wanted to. And then I'm going to say done. Again, you can kind of pinch and zoom and make that as big or as small as you want. There's some different font options and things in there that you can use. Maybe I tend to be a big person who doesn't like the A that's curvy, like the one on the iPad right now, because that's not how we teach that shape of the A. And so I tend to like to switch to a different font. But for sake of time, I'm just going to leave it today for you guys. But let's say I also want it to do more. I want to do more than just make the snowflake moving. I want to add something else. Some of our activities have these really cool special effects. So let's add something like that in there. So I'm going to add, scroll down, it's called particle. So in the middle here, you see drawing board and then particle. And so, where'd it go?
And real quick, Stephanie,
Yes.
I know that was something that we looked very long and hard into the shapes of the letters and finding a font that will meet all of the criteria for what they teach in handwriting. And so the name of that font that we have in CViConnect, I believe, is called Avian, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
That has
So
the A's that are the shaped the right way.
Correct. Yeah. So if anyone's working specifically on letters or sight words or anything like that, I would recommend using the Avian font.
Now, normally, I don't know why this is doing this. I'll have to look into this. Normally, you can view that special effect, that particle, right here within the designer. That part is moving and live and active. For some reason, that's not working today. So if you're experiencing that as well, please let me know, and we will get that bug fixed. That is one thing. As you guys are working with Julie and I, or anyone on the CViConnect team, really, the reason we've gotten to where we are today is because of feedback from the field and different professionals. I know that I'm a TVI by trade and Julie is a TVI by trade, but that doesn't mean that that's who this is. I mean, it's for everybody. We need speech to be on the same page as PT and OT and the parents. And we all have to really come together for these kids. Really, for any of our students, we should be taking that whole student approach, but especially for our kids with CVI, vision impacts so many different areas of their education. And we need to make sure that we're all addressing all of those needs that the kids have. And the more opportunities they have to use their vision consistently and with repetition throughout their day, the more improvement we're going to see. So it's really important that we're all on the same page. That being said, we want to hear your feedback, regardless of where you come in the field. We want to know how it's working for you. And if you're having something that's not working well, please email me. In fact, I will make sure to drop my email in the chat for you guys. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything, really, or if you have feedback for me to consider, or just an idea that you're like, this is really cool, but I wish it did XYZ. I will add it to my long list of things that we are adding to the system and trying to make it better so that you guys have the best experience to help your kids out. Let's take a look at what this looks like now. So we're going to save changes. And we're press play. And so now you have the snowflake at the top, and then you have, blizzard falling down. Probably not ideal to have the word snowflake right underneath that blizzard. So I should probably move that around and make that in a different spot, right? And I can probably add a couple of those or make it larger too, if I wanted to. So I'm getting that notification that we're getting towards the end of our time together. So maybe I would put the word snowflake up at the top. Then I would have my snowflake, and then I would have my movement and that down there. Or maybe I would have it on separate, cards. Maybe I would just have the blizzard on one page to get them to visually look. And then maybe I would have just the snowflake on one page, and then I would just have the word on another one. And that's probably more likely what I would do with most of my kids, because I need to break apart that complexity. Having all of this on one activity would be a lot, but just for sake of time, it's just easier for me to show you where everything's at and how to add it all in right now. The last thing I want to show you before we go anywhere is I'm going to delete these. I'm going to say that I don't want that activity there. When we're working on salient features, one of the things that I love about adding activities to CViConnect is this drawing board. So if I add a drawing board, looks just like the square did before, I'm going to go ahead and go in and add that image again of my snowflake. And I want, when I draw on it, to have the color be yellow. So maybe that's my student's preferred color. I'm going to hit done and save changes. And now when we run the activity, instead of just having an image that we can look at, the student and I can draw on here. And so we can talk about these different shapes that we're seeing and why this is a snowflake. Or maybe it's Elmo and I want to highlight the different features and I want to show just the eyes and I really want to draw attention to that. Or maybe like we talked about a minute ago, if just having the word snowflake on there, I can use Dr. Roman's idea of her word bubbling and actually have the student and I draw it together. So there's a lot of different ideas of how you can use that drawing board. But I like that feature of being able to draw right on it live with the student and have them, as they're getting further along and they have that hand-eye coordination, I can actually have them helping me draw some of those salient features as we're identifying and reviewing some of that information. That's kind of a lot for a half-hour time slot. So I don't want to get into too much more. I'm sure we could probably do live events like this multiple more times and go through more. But seeing what you saw today, are there questions? Are there concerns, feedback, anything like that that you guys have or would like to share with me before we go? You guys can feel free to unmute or put it in the chat, whatever works best for you.
Hi, my name is Michelle. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Michelle.
Okay, awesome. My homepage doesn't look the same as yours did, so I don't entirely know how we got to anywhere. Hold on a minute.
So let me make sure first, when you are downloaded the app, we have two apps, and I've had a couple people run into this where make sure you're not using the CViConnect app, but you're using the one that says Pro. So CViConnect Pro is where the teachers log in. If you're using your teacher login into the regular app, it will give you like almost like a blank gray screen.
Yeah, that's what okay. I will. I'll get the app then. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem. It makes it a little tricky because we gave them very similar names, but so you're not the only one who's run into that. I apologize. But yeah, so once you go in, if you don't see that, once you've logged into the CViConnect Pro account, email me and let me know. So if you want to take my email from the chat there, and if for some reason you're still having issues, please contact me and I'll help you out with that.
Okay, great. And then my other question is, so with all of so you use the snowflake. So my student is in phase 6 and 7, and is working on like patterns and different colored items and things. Can you use that to do a pattern? And so he would have to create it in like in the classroom, and then he could touch it and then it would like move. So it's kind of rewarding. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, in fact, I'm trying to get, so Julie created this pattern activity. All the activities you guys see in our library. Oh, I didn't select a student. Another one of those things I do all the time. Oh, it's probably not assigned to anybody on my list today. So when you go in, assign this activity to the student. It's this, if you search pattern, it should come up, and it's got a couple different pieces of transportation. And so it's the same idea that you can like drag it in and finish that that pattern for the student. This is just happens to be an ABAB type pattern. But you can make your own similar thing. If cars and vehicles aren't motivating for him, pick a different, pick shapes or whatever it is that's exciting for him, that's going to get him to look at it and want to move those items. But yeah, you can absolutely create as many different patterning activities as you want and have him drag it up and make it where he wants it to go. All of the activities that we've created have a student in mind. So it happens to be one of mine or Julie's or somebody else's student that they've been working with. And we needed to modify something that was going on in their school environment, their curriculum, and make it accessible for them. And that's where these activities have come from. So they're not going to be one size fit all, and they're not going to be what works best for everybody. But hopefully they give you guys some good ideas of how you can modify something for your student or how you could take that and edit it for yourself. That would be another live event I should definitely do with you guys, is how to take something we've already made and edit that, because there's a lot of them that you can just copy and then make it your own and kind of just click on it and change the images. So a lot of that, those events, like I was showing you, when you touch it moves, or that type of stuff will already have been built in for you. And all you'd have to do then is change the images out, which would be really helpful.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, not a problem. Any other questions?
Hey, so this is Lisa Nebaker. So I was trying to follow along. And so when you did that first section, so I selected my student's name and then I did the plus, right? And then I just titled it like test.
Okay.
And then you hit library, right? Did I put that right?
Yep, the first thing you want to do is you're going to hit that plus, and then you're going to give it a name and select a library for it to go into.
Okay, so mine only has the one library set up. Okay.
Correct. You should only be able to add it to your library as of right now. Yeah.
So then in the bottom where you said save, mine says copy ID. I couldn't ever find a space where I could save that to follow along.
Okay. So we ran into that with another district recently. Lisa, I will check that out for you and get back with you, because my guess is you're in the same boat as this other district that I was working with.
Okay, yeah, because I was like,
but yeah,
I think I'm in the right spot, but it only says copy ID.
Nope, you absolutely are. Let me look into that and I will email you back, okay?
Okay, sweet, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, if anyone else runs into that where you go to the plus, or anyone on your team, like I know there's a couple of you were the main person to sign up for the account, but you've invited other team members to CViConnect PRO. And so maybe you have another TVI or speech therapist that you've invited, and maybe they're running into that problem similar to Lisa, where they press plus and they add it all in there, but then there's not that save button here like there is on my screen. Please have them or yourself email me so I can look into more about where that bug is, so we can get that fixed for you guys as soon as possible. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I'm sure we're going to get kicked off here soon. I really appreciate your time this afternoon, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We will be in touch with another event here soon. So keep watching our Facebook page, and if you're not already, feel free to sign up for our newsletters and getting these events sent to you via email by going to CViConnect.co. And at the very bottom of the page, you can sign up for our newsletter and get that information. So whenever we have live events, you'll make sure to get that notification. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.